worked on that, right? I don't know because I always forget there's a delay after I click start streaming.
You know what? I'll start over just to be safe. Hi,
Okay.
everybody.
Hey.
Welcome to Cryptic Puzzle.
Yeah.
Did it work that time? Should I
I
start over again?
well, you know what? You know what? Roll it back one more time just in case.
Hel- Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Well,
every Andy.
well,
He's
welcome to
Andy.
it's we're let's do it one more time.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm not really. Oh, okay. Do you want me to do it or are you still gonna try?
No, I got it.
All
I
right,
got it.
all right. Okay, just wanted to be sure.
All right. Hi everyone. Welcome to Cryptic Puzzle, the video game podcast.
Is that what it is? Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think I do
My
that every
name's
time I ask if that's what it is. Oh my gosh.
my name's Andy.
And I'm Tommy, I think.
And yes, we are a YouTube podcast experience, which means you're gonna see some gameplay, but we're gonna kind of generally talk in a casual, loose. I sound casual and loose, right? In a casual and loose format
Yeah,
about
this is very
about
normal interaction normal people have when they're feeling normal, you know? That ever
and
happen to you?
we're gonna talk about games and game design, and generally we bring games to the show that we love and we think are interesting and worth discussing. And today we're gonna talk about a little indie darling called Minishoot Adventures.
Yeah, this game's really cool. And you told me about it because I had never heard of it before. And I was like, I'm gonna try out that demo. And this was like 9 months ago at this point. I think it was like
Yeah, we should
literally
start.
last summer when we
We
when
should
we
start
played it.
by
We
saying,
were both gushing about it, like, oh, what a great game. We should talk about it on the podcast, and then we just forgot. We
like,
just
literally two
forgot.
weeks ago, I texted Tommy and I was like, "Did we not?" Because we did our recap episode, right, where we were like, "Oh, let's talk about all the games that we've talked about and whatever." And I was like, "Oh, cool! Like, I can't wait to talk about Mini Shoot Adventures again." And then we there just wasn't an episode, and I was like, "Did did we just forget to talk about how much we love this game?"
Yeah, we sure did.
We
And
just straight up forgot.
yeah, you know what the other funny part is? I had that other save file there, from basically I don't think I did total completionist everything on it, but I had nearly everything. But there's like that secret final boss. Spoilers, there's a secret final boss that you can do after. And when I booted it up, I was like, I'm just gonna try it after because I tried it like literally once and died, and was like, whatever. I'm not really that worried about it. I'm gonna get to another game. And then today I was like, I'm gonna boot this up to check for the screen or the stream, and I just went and I just beat it.
Nice.
And the last time I had booted the game, I double checked. It was August 19th of last year. It is April 2025.
Wow. Wait, real quick before I forget, you can turn the volume of the game up on the stream because it's like
It's very
hard to
quiet.
hear. Yeah,
Okay,
you can't
let's.
really hear it at all.
All right, let me give him a few more. It looked like it was louder on the actual levels. Let's see. All right, that must have looked like it hitched on stream too, because it froze on my screen. Anyway, give him a go. I suppose. Also, very little is happening. Like the shoot sound isn't very loud either. So, you know.
I can hear it in the stream better
All
now.
right, nice,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so let me talk about how I kind of found this game because this game I want to say it released in 2024. I think it came out last year. Maybe 2023. It's relatively new. And if you frequent parts of the internet like I do, like subreddits about like indie games or hidden gems, every once in a blue moon, you'll stumble upon a thread that's like, what are some like underrated indie gems, or like what are your one of your favorite games that came out in 2024 that no one knows about, and without a doubt, you will stumble upon a few comments heaping like unbelievable amounts of praise onto this game. Like a handful of times before I played it, I had just heard people on the internet being like, this game rules and I can't believe no one's ever heard of it. And I don't know, I guess I heard that just a few too many times where I decided I had just gotten my Steam Deck this last summer, and I was like, what a perfect game to just throw the demo on my Steam Deck. And I want to say I got to like exactly the part Tommy is at now, which is like 3 minutes into the video game of playing the demo before I went, take all of my money, I'm gonna buy this immediately, because it's just one of these games that within such a short time you're having a blast.
Yeah, it's interesting because reading it, I feel like I still see the word Metroidvania hilariously get thrown around with this game. I don't really know why, because this game,
You
what
want to
was I
just go with
already
manual?
manual? That's what I was already
Yeah,
doing.
go with
Okay,
manual.
that looked like I thought I hit a button on accident, but that just happens there, I think.
Yeah,
So
it just prompts you.
yeah, this to me reads very much like, hey, what if we just made like an old school 2D Zelda game, but it was a twin stick shooter? And it's definitely a little bit more complicated than that. I don't want to be too reductive, but if that was all anybody told you about the game, you've gotten 80% of the point. you know,
Yeah, I mean,
and it
I
rules.
I don't even think it's that reductive. I mean, this game, like, if I were gonna describe it to someone, I would say it might be my favorite Zelda game of all time, but it wasn't made by Nintendo, and you play as a tiny twin stick spaceship.
Yeah,
Like,
it's awesome.
um, it really, I mean, it does have everything that you would want from a classic 2D Zelda game. Like, it has little dungeons, it has a little open world that's constantly getting bigger the further you go. There's like fun and memorable enemy encounters, and there's like little puzzles and secrets to find everywhere. Like, it really is kind of the classic Zelda experience. But
Yeah,
you're this
you
cute
can
little
see a
spaceship.
lot of the like specific Zelda analogs of like, oh, go get this thing, or like there's kind of, if I remember right, there's almost like a little trading mini game sort of thing that happens in there, like you would get in the old Zelda games as well. When it comes to finding items that you need to give to somebody to get them to do a thing to unlock this other place, yada yada. So it's very clear that it wears its inspiration on its sleeve. But I wonder just who in that group, or a group, this game was made by two people. Two people is
Yeah,
not
it's
a group.
crazy.
Two people is a pair. um, so I wonder if it was like a love of Zelda games or if it was a love of twin stick shooters that kind of bore this idea out first. You know,
Yeah.
what were they looking to make first, and then were they like, well, we want to make both, but we can't really make two games, and then they're like, what if we just made that one game? I really have no idea. I wish I kind of knew a little bit more about the dev history on this, just because, like I said, the concept is so simple, but mechanically, it feels great to play. I don't know if you knew this about me before you'd recommended it, but I really love twin stick shooters like a lot. I just think they're very fun, pick up and play type things. So this game I played in lots and lots of really inefficient bite-sized little chunks. Over and over again until I got through all the hidden stuff, which is why my time on that was like, if you look at my Steam page, I think there's so much time spent from just like sitting on the title screen on accident that I've got like 50% of my Steam time is just that, because like my file time is only like 12 hours or whatever it is, and even that's really long because I did it in the like, what was I doing again, like every single time I played the game. because I
Okay.
because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do what you did is you were like, oh, well, you picked it up on the Steam Deck, and I know we don't really play games like that, but I almost played this game in that. I mean, that first playthrough was almost a year ago, so my memory's a little bit foggy, but I did. I played it in little bite-sized chunks in the way that I would play like a more portable game normally, because it works real well for
Yeah.
that, I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you've got me thinking now about whether they wanted to do a Zelda game first or a twin stick shooter. I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's closer to a Zelda game than a twin stick shooter, and I know that's weird, but I feel like even the ship has like the way he like moves and has these expressive little things he does when you find secrets that I feel like he's a great character design almost. Like, he has the characteristics of like any character you would find in a game like this almost. He's real kind of cute, isn't he?
Yeah, and this is something that I think you and I both kind of said, um, when we were first talking about it, but to me, the aesthetic overall, and I think some people would maybe think of this as like a like a negative, or me trying to like dig at it, but I think of it as a positive. It reminds me very much of like what if we played like a really really high quality Flash game from back in the aughts, back when that was still a thing that you could do and people liked doing. Um,
Yeah,
go get on the
the art
computer
style.
in the computer lab at school when you weren't supposed to and play something on, you know, mini clip or something like that.
Oh, could you imagine if this game did exist in those days? This would be like a cult classic, and everyone would have grown up playing it. That would be crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I die. Dang it.
Oh,
I'm terrible at
but
the.
you know,
Oh, oh,
you
story,
cannot give up now.
lore. Oh my goodness.
Um, yeah, it's interesting that you love twin stick shooters because, like, weirdly, I don't. I'm gonna maybe contradict myself. I don't think that I love twin stick shooters. Like, I've never been drawn to them, but I think weirdly I do like them more than I think because Enter the Gungeon is one of my favorite games of all time, and so is this. So I think maybe I like twin stick shooters more than I thought I did, but I wouldn't have like the twin stick shooter part of this game kind of didn't appeal to me when I originally heard of it until I started playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the first one that really struck me. I played Really Big Sky. I think was a really fun one. I also really liked kind of like the old school bullet hell types of games, like your Raidens, and not so much the crazy Ikarugas, like the really bonkers off the wall ones where the screen is just absolutely filled with nonsense to avoid. I'm not that good, but that kind of game is very fun. And all those things kind of evoke a very specific arcadey. I'm gonna do a run and have a whole bunch of cool, pretty stuff happen on screen, and maybe the whole run only lasts like 5 minutes before I'd have to like feed more quarters in, or maybe less. But I had a good time just during those few minutes. So that's normally like I just like mechanically how they feel a lot.
Yeah.
So I that getting to strap those mechanics to kind of a Zelda structure, I think is cool, and I agree with you on that. I think the game is a lot more Zelda than it is twin stick shooter. Like clearly, this is not something that you would ever really do in a Zelda game, but that is like a fight in a room, and normally I'd be waiting for like the Zelda door opening music after I cleared a room of enemies. I took the concept and the structure of Zelda, and I just strapped a different set of ways to interact with the world to it. And it's just not something that I ever would have been like, yeah, I think those two things fit together, but they do.
Yeah. And I think they sort of brilliantly like spin out like if you were a spaceship uh exploring a Zelda world, what would like the upgrades be? Not to get into spoiler territory, but like the first upgrade you get is a little boost that lets you zoom faster, and you can like jump off of ramps and stuff like that. And I feel like every Zelda upgrade that you get in this game that makes your character stronger, it makes sense for you being a spaceship. So it just, I don't know. Every time I got an upgrade, I was like, oh, of course that's the next upgrade. Like, of course now I can shoot 2 bullets and I'm way stronger?
Yeah, the art design and everything. Yes, it's a very natural, like, what would I get as upgrades in that kind of game, and also what would translate to like traversal throughout the world, and what would help me with how do we make a thing that lets you design like an interesting puzzle. Like, I can't get across this water right now,
Yep.
but I'll eventually get something that will let me and go see what's down that hole, you know?
And I guess what's cool too about it being you being a spaceship and not a traditional character is like in any other Metroidvania, Zelda game, whatever, you would see that and you would go, well, I'm going to get a double jump, or I'm going to get a jump that lets me get across that water. But because I've never played a Zelda game where you play as a spaceship, I was like, I don't know what the power up is going to be that lets me get across that. Maybe I'll just press a switch that will create a bridge. So because you kind of don't know, you get to preserve that mystery of like when you were a kid and you played Metroidvanias for the first time.
Yeah, it's funny because like I super agree on that front. Like thematically, it kind of forces you to look at it and think about it a little bit differently because like we just got trailers for Metroid Prime 4. One, incredible, that game really is real. And they're talking about Samus's psychic powers, and then they show Samus's psychic powers, and the first thing she does with it is open a door because all powers in Metroid games are just keys.
Yeah, right.
Like, and it's a really cool key, don't get me wrong, but like, it's almost like not even a little bit hidden as just like, no, I know what this is for. Um, Whereas, just like you said, this was, I don't know what ultimately I'm going to get and how they're going to use that and make it interesting. And I don't
Yeah,
know,
and
it was
even
surprising the whole time in a good way, I thought.
yeah, because the concept is so novel, it's like what are the puzzles going to be? Like, like you enter like a dungeon, you're like, are there going to be puzzles at all? Are there going to be weird enemy encounters? Like it's novel at every turn because it's just such a weird idea, but I think all of it is executed so well.
Yeah, and I think this harkens almost more to like like the Link's Awakening style Zelda, like 2D Zelda because of the amount of traversal that revolves around you getting across gaps that does not involve like a hookshot type of thing. Like getting the Rock's Feather in Link's Awakening was like mind-boggling to me, which is a big reason why that one and those ones are still my favorites of the 2D
Yeah.
Zeldas, just because the movement in those games is so much more free because of the things they actually let you do. And
Yeah.
this game is kind of the same thing, and so it falling in line with all that, yeah, yeah, it's good. It's really it's hard to overstate how, as simple as this looks, like how good all of this feels to do.
Yeah, I think I mean like the actual juice and all of the mechanics that happen in combat like just feels so good. Like that little tactile, like the screen like shaking a little bit and the crunch sound effect that happens when you kill enemies. Like all of the little effects are so subtle, but this game feels like so tactile and satisfying to play. Even like I remember it's such a weird detail. I don't know if this is a me thing or an everybody thing, but like even when you go across like a little thing of rocks, right? Like there's like 4 or 5 rocks that you skate across to get over water. And the little foley sounds that happen when your ship kind of like makes contact with those rocks just
Yeah.
tickles my brain. It feels so good. Like
Hmm.
the sound design is doing so much heavy lifting in this game to make it feel amazing.
And yeah, it's I know there's a little bit of sound on stream, but it's not going to be the focus right now. So the music is like kind of very soft and ambient kind of stuff right now, but a little bit before this, it was probably a bit more obvious of like the music kind of just goes like really crazy and gets super busy sometimes. Like that secret final boss thing I was talking about earlier has like really, really, really intense like this is absolutely like the JRPG super final boss. We got all the way to God and we're gonna kill him kind of thing.
Yeah, it
And
slaps.
like visually, we're not playing like a Final Fantasy whatever where I'm fighting like some actual incarnation of nature or whatever is like the final boss. But I got music that sure sounded like I was. And
Yeah, the,
yeah,
the the
it's great.
music is great, and it's all like seamless too. Like you almost don't even notice the effect it's having on you, but when you kind of glide into a new area, the music just sort of seamlessly shifts over to the new track, and it helps add to the ambience in a way that you don't even notice. It's so subtly done.
Yeah, I agree. It's presentation wise again, despite the fact that all the art and everything in it is very simple. They do a lot with what they've got. And it's very clear that part of the simplicity of this is again it's a game made by two people. So it's pretty expansive. There's a fair bit of content in it. For a game that's made by two people.
It
You
definitely feels so huge and dense. Like the more you play.
your So you recently just replayed it on a whim and 100%ed it, and it took you roughly how long. And this is also with some foreknowledge of you having played the game before. So, oops, some amount of the you know, secrets and exploration and stuff were not as hidden because, you'd already done it at least once. So,
Yeah. This second time took me about 5 hours. I want to say the first time I played it for maybe 10 to 12. But I took my time a lot more, and like you said, I didn't know where I was going. But without even trying to rush through it the second time, sort of just having an idea of, where I should go to find things. It was about 5 hours.
yeah, and my clock on the front was about 12 and a half. So that sounds about right with my first playthrough too. And like I said, I know I took my time with that the first time and played it in a really kind of broken up way, which was going to be less efficient. I was going to get less done per session kind of thing, So it
Yeah.
it's not a huge game. I don't remember. This is very inexpensive if I remember right. I do not remember how much it costs exactly.
Probably, I think full price it's like 15 or 20. No more than 20 for sure.
Yeah, that sounds right in my head. And this game is absolutely an
Oh,
incredible like $20 to spend, even if that's full price. In my opinion, this is something that I would recommend to anyone who just wants like a fun little whatever, like price wise. It's not like a ton of content, but like you said, it was like I'm having a ball. Like I literally just hit new game after having not played this game in like 9 months, basically, and I'm having a blast already.
yeah. It's infinitely replayable to me, and it's interesting. You're right that it's weird that you say the game is not a lot of content, because I guess like on principle it is, but the game is so dense and so packed with secrets in a way that like you're just kind of constantly stumbling into new places. Sometimes you'll stumble into a new place like right now, and I feel like you're going to go up and you're going to be blocked off more. In
Yeah,
fact, I
I'm
can already see there's
pretty
like
sure you're
another
correct.
layer. Yeah, there's like another layer of secret. And I mean, I don't know how much we talked about this on our Elden Ring stuff, but to me, a dense world is better than a big world. It's kind of nice when a world is big and dense, an open world, but I think density is better, because it's like you want to find a bunch of stuff. You don't want to like travel a long way. You want to stumble upon secrets, and this game is so dense with secrets.
Yeah, it's got a very, and I think in the same way that I mean, although Elden Ring is like the biggest thing ever made, and it ends up being kind of both dense and big. I'm with you on this. This ends up being more of the design ethos of a more classic game, where it's like, well, the stuff that's here, we're just gonna make sure there's a whole bunch of really fun, cool stuff everywhere. Because that's just, I don't know, that's just how games were made back then. There's a lot more padding that just naturally exists in the ways that games are even just presented now. Even if they're not trying to like pad out content for the, we added more, go up to the top of this tower and reveal more of the map kind of thing stuff. It's a lot more of that now, whereas back then it was like there's a Star Road in Super Mario World. You know,
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't even think this game would, like, let's say this game had 3 more dungeons or something. Like, I don't think it would be better. I think it's so it gets in and out in a way that like there's no fat. You know what I mean? They trimmed all of the fat off of this game. Every inch of it is fun and dense, and I never felt like I wanted more. I felt like when I finished, it was like, man, what a great little package. It was like everything I wanted from it.
oh, I agree, and I think that's because the moment to moment stuff of the twin stick gameplay is really good, and it
So
feels
fun.
really good, and it's very fun. So, well, you're kind of because you're. I think the idea of you moving and attacking simultaneously that is innate to twin stick shooters also lends itself to a game that needs to be engaging as you're moving around to explore. So it is about as seamless as can possibly be, because like, not to be like super incredibly reductive, but like um in any Zelda game, generally speaking, if I'm gonna swipe my sword at an enemy, Link's gonna stop. and he's gonna swing at the guy. You know, there's moves that allow you to move and everything, but like I am continuously smoothly moving and attacking in any direction at all times, and that is always the case in the gameplay.
Yeah.
And I think that's just sort of a unique thing that you normally don't have the ability to do or access to do in a game where it's just like, yeah, go find stuff in the world. Normally, this is again a game where it like stuff would be flying at me from all directions on screen, and then eventually I would like beat a level and I'd get a cool score and be like, wow, that felt awesome the whole time, because they would design an enemy encounter to be like, how do you figure out how to get through the maze of bullets and shoot all the stuff you have to in order to beat it, you know? But
Yeah.
that's just
This
one
game,
piece of it of how to get through the rooms, and then they structure it in, well, do that and now go to this puzzle room over here, or run into this combat room like this, you know?
yeah, this game is pure EPS all day.
What is, hold on. Oh no, this feels like a bit.
It's pure endorphins per second, bro.
Oh, okay.
All endorphins all day.
EPS,
There's not a
okay.
single it's not a single moment
This
that
felt,
you're like, yo, I'm not having a great time.
this felt like a D's joke
No,
setup.
I'm not.
I
No.
really didn't want to bite on the internet on that. That would never go away for the rest of my life, even though no one probably will ever watch this. I just didn't. I just
Nah,
can't
dog.
have that recorded. Can't have that happen.
Nah. Nah, EPS is real. That's what I always say about Monster Hunter. That's why I love Monster Hunter so much, because it's pure EPS. You just like your brain is constantly firing off the feel good chemical.
Yeah, yeah. And there's I mean,
Wait, there's a secret. You missed a secret.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Gotta get
barely
some
a
little,
secret because it is literally signposted.
you gotta get some little experience rocks.
Some experience rocks, yeah, whatever they are. I keep trying to go into there for the level up menu, and it's driving me crazy because I keep forgetting. You know what I should do is I should just remap it, because you can do that. Oh yeah, there's accessibility options in this. So beyond just the difficulty stuff, which I thought was kind of neat with, hey, here's the easier version that slows down the enemies and you can have them be faster if you want it to be harder. There's also just a total game speed and an invincibility and infinite energy toggle that I didn't actually remember was there from before.
Wow.
So in case you're like really like, I want to do all of it, but I can't because I feel bad at video games. Well, it's real hard to die when you're invincible and have infinite energy. So
Wow, I never even noticed that when I played this game.
yeah, me neither, until I was, like I said, I opened this up to flip through options and be sure that the stream was gonna work, and was like, wait a minute, how did I never see that before? You know?
Yeah.
So good on. I'm glad that that kind of stuff exists. Like, it's not for me, but that's not the point. It was never supposed to be for me. It's supposed to be for the person who otherwise wouldn't play the video game. So
Yeah, even more reason to say that you can recommend this game to literally anybody.
yeah, I know, right? That's how I feel.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, as you look at it, it's so much fun. What else more is there to say? There's like a neat leveling system. I love that you have like, you get like these little experience bits from beating enemies, but you can also find like chunks of experience, which are great because you can like, increase the amount of damage you do or how far your bullets shoot, which again just feel like very natural Metroidvania Zelda things that you would do if you were playing those games as a little spaceship.
Yeah, we brought back the long beam actually being like a thing again, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you know, that's about as Metroid as this game gets for the most part. I think for the most part it is very 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 almost a pure Zelda like.
Yeah. I also love that like there's this other like secret currency that you can spend to, at first it allows you to shoot more bullets, which feel like the first time I got enough of those little red coins to get to shoot 2 bullets, I was like, oh my god, I'm the coolest person who's ever lived, and I feel so cool that I can now shoot 2 bullets. And he was like, great, get a ton more and then you can shoot 3. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, how big is this game? Like, those little moments are awesome. and you're like so rewarded for exploring and fighting those little bosses everywhere too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can look and like basically the moment that you slot your little level up gems into any one of these, and you see exactly how it does things. So like some of these are kind of self-explanatory. Movement speed, I'm going to move faster. Critical chance means I'll have a higher chance of doing criticals. Seeing like exactly how much the fire rate goes up once you slot a gem in and everything, because you can pop these in and out at any point. So if you're like, I actually would rather for this specific situation dump all the stuff that I have just at like into damage and fire rate because that's all that matters. You can just do that, and then as soon as you're done with it, come right back to the menu and put it back to whatever it was your build is. I gotta say, having respec at any point anywhere I feel like that should be in like every video game personally. That's really convenient. It's really nice. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't even.
it's cool.
I had never considered doing that. Like now that you said it, I was like, I never popped them out and popped them into a different place ever. I just always was upgrading. But that's like really phenomenal that you could do that. I never even considered that as a strategy.
Yeah, I would regularly realize that I just wanted to be moving faster through the world, so I would go into the pause menu and pull out a few damage ones because like the damage ones just cost more up front. So pulling out some of the higher level damage ones gives you like a ton of the little experience gems back. And so then I'd go and then I'd max out all the speed stuff, whip around the world, get to where I wanted to go, and then put it back. So
Oh, smart.
yeah. So
It's wicked
yeah, it's a
smart.
great game. Very, very cool. Very, very simple. Well executed on, in all those ideas. I almost I'm trying to figure out like what the level of detail to talk about. Because not to say that like there's like a ton to the plot or anything like that, or like the fun of a bunch of this game is just like figuring out some of the stuff. Like your playthrough was much shorter the second time around because you remembered a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
I think the actual curiosity and exploration of a whole bunch of things, like I don't want to spoil reveals and that, but I also don't want to be like, and I have no more to say about the video game.
Yeah, I'll say this, like for as much as this game has kind of a Nintendo approach to the plot where like there's technically a story and it's technically an excuse for you to play the game in the first place. I will say I felt I felt pretty touched by like the little cutscene that happens when you do actually finish the game, and the little narrative. It's not anything huge or anything, but the narrative that revolves around the main antagonist, I did find to be touching and moving. As simple as it was, like
Yeah,
I was
it,
very shocked to feel anything.
yeah, it's well, yeah. I think it's really sincere and it's really sweet because while not remembering all the specific details of everything, I remember feeling similarly. I was like, "Aw, that's
Yeah,
nice." Yeah, not
yeah,
not
like
a
it
not a
did hit
game
me.
with zero dialogue. Well, that's not true. There's a little bit of text on screen from some characters occasionally, but almost all of what happens in this game is expressed through like little pulses and that.
Yeah, how did you
Like
do that? Is there a button that lets you do that?
if you click the left stick, it'll do that,
Oh,
and
yes.
sometimes he'll spin. I don't know what causes like the
That's
yeah, I
what I
don't know.
mean. Look how like they did such a good job making all of the characters expressive, and the characters are spaceships, but they just feel, I don't know, they feel endearing and like lovable in a way that you would just never expect.
Yeah, and like it's very simple and very subtle. Like there's not a ton to that, and that's not to talk it down. That's if anything to try and give it credit for like, yeah, look what that little thing did in order to make me be like, oh, he feels a
It
certain
adds
way.
so
Like
much.
what? Why do I think the spaceship feels a certain way?
Yeah, yeah, they I don't know, man. They nailed it. Like this if this is the first game by this team, and I think that it is, this team of two people, I'm so excited for whatever they're gonna make next because I can't believe how much I love this game that almost no one has heard of. And I think it's getting more credit now, but God, I love this game. And yeah, so I should talk about when I replayed it too, because why did I replay it? I was playing Monster Hunter, which I am known to do.
It's true. You
Uh,
are known to do that.
I'm known to do that. And I was going back and I was playing World, okay? And the thing about Monster Hunter in all of the late game is it gets incredibly stressful, which is like that's kind of the fun of Monster Hunter, right? Is you're like you're learning the mastery of the monsters and you're like, "All right, how can I smartly equip certain pieces of armor that give me an advantage or whatever?" But I don't know, my in my real life things shifted to become a lot more stressful all of a sudden and I was like, all right, I need to put Monster Hunter down. Like I can't be playing that. So last Saturday morning, I just booted up Minishoot Adventures and then by Sunday afternoon, I realized I had beat it cuz I was just I don't know, like I just picked it up and I was having such a comforting fun time playing through it and before I knew it, I was done. And I was like, I can't believe I beat that game so quickly.
Yeah, I and again because I'm can't really tell how much of the vibes in terms of like all the sound design and audio for the stream, but in terms of just like vibes, this game is just I think something else that's very strong is just the atmosphere that it creates. This very calm, subtle, like you really do like that kind of soft Breath of the Wild kind of like, oh, I wonder what's over there, and just kind of feeling attracted in any particular direction while nice, gentle music plays in the background. And when there's intense moments that happen, the music dynamically changes appropriately, and then when it's over, it goes right back to the vibes that it should be, you know? And everything flows in and out very, very seamlessly all the time.
Yeah, and
It's
there's
great.
like different it's fun especially too like you've been in this sort of main opening area, but like there is a variety of areas to find and they have a variety of enemies and visual styles within them too. Like it just feels like such a fleshed out world that you're constantly curious about what is gonna come next.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I
I,
I am meandering because I'm trying to focus on what you're saying, and it's making my exploration abilities terrible. So, oh yeah, here we go. This is where I wanted to go.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I don't think we have a huge audience on this show. Maybe we have a somewhat small audience, but I think part of the reason I really wanted to talk about this game is because if there was a world in which we did have an audience, this is like the exact example of a game that I would want to lift up. Like this indie darling made by two people that clearly put so much love into it and busted their butts to make it polished as heck. I think there's even a disclaimer when you open the game that says, "Hey, this was made by two people, and we are really dedicated to making your experience awesome. So if you experience any bugs, please report them. Like, please let us know if you have any issues."
Yep.
Like, just
Yeah.
straight up, they say that.
Yeah. There's a bug report button right on the main menu that takes you right to the Steam page. I assume they probably interact directly with people at that point, because yes, I did see that disclaimer right when I booted it up. And it has their little names, their avatars. So yeah. Ah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
so
you know,
dang
in a
it.
world of AAA bloated games that we always talk about, this game is like all I want from the gaming industry is more games like this that are focused and fun and polished and like unique, you know?
Yeah. I think we're gonna need to focus on that kind of game for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. I don't see big games changing anytime soon, really. It is fortunate that, Sony canceled its like 17 live service games or whatever the heck it was that they had in the pipeline because they realized what a terrible idea that was. So maybe the winds are shifting on some level in the right direction, but, you know, I don't trust big corporations to make things that are cool anymore. So I would much
Yeah.
rather lean on the idea that there's probably some small batch of creators out there that are going to make something really, really neat and probably more unique. Not to say that we're not going to get really cool, big, expensive games. I just, corporate meddling is worse than it's ever been. And does not appear to be improving in any way, shape, or form anytime soon. So, put stock in the smaller creators, give them your money. Look out for games like Minishoot, and what have you. Yeah, I don't know what else. Is there any more that you want to say about this, or do we want to maybe transition to talking about the other stuff that we've been playing? Because this is kind of almost in a weird way, kind of a a retrospective or a recap because we just we forgot about the game
Yeah, that
for the show.
I mean, yeah, we can probably shift, if only because I don't know, like this is the type of game that if you haven't played it and you're hearing us talk about it, you should just turn this off and go buy it, and you're gonna have a great time. But I guess beyond that, besides saying this game is like amazing, like we could go into every facet of the game's design, like the secrets and the cool things, but I don't even know how much it's really worth doing that because it feels like on the surface level we've kind of covered it. Like, it's
Yeah.
Zelda, it's very thoughtfully crafted, it's a twin-stick shooter, it's very thoughtfully crafted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know how many times I want to go around in circles saying some of the same stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, we could talk more about it, but I feel like I have to talk about exploration spoilers, and quite frankly, also some of that stuff I'm just not going to remember as well as you because you played it more recently. But at the same time, that's still, I just think that's better discovered on your own because that was what I had fun with when I played the game, you know?
It's thoughtfully crafted.
It's
Have I
thoughtfully
mentioned that yet?
crafted. It's cryptic puzzle. Thoughtfully
Crypt-
crafted. Thoughtfully puzzled. Crafting. NP.
Well, thanks for
Hey,
watching,
look at this
everybody.
look at the spaceman.
Oh,
Anyway,
it's our buddy.
yeah.
All
Well,
right, let's
you have some you have some updates, I guess, because you have been playing Final Fantasy VII. And I have talked with you only a smidge about it off camera, because I wanted to save a bunch of that discussion for this here show.
yeah.
So
I've
we
been
could
playing.
we could
I've been
move
playing.
to that. Oh wait, hold on, wait, hold on. I'm gonna play a different game that's not Minishoot. What should I hold on? What should I play? And let me get to test the Be Right Back screen that I whipped together very haphazardly, and I don't know if it's gonna work, but I am gonna ask you to test and see if that's working. When I
Oh, you
do
want
it.
me to get the stream up?
Yeah, you should for in a second anyway. But
All right.
what should I boot up Rebirth? Would that be funny, or I could put up Kazan because I've been playing that too.
No, let's do Kazan.
Kazan, okay, all right. Hang on, hold on. All right, okay. I'm gonna put up the Be Right Back screen, and we're gonna see if it works. Okay, all right. Be right back, everyone.
Da, 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 da.
Oh, I think they can still hear me. We'll still be right back, everyone. Yeah, are you checking the Be Right Back screen? Okay. No. There's audio too. Just check. Yeah. Found it on an old hard drive. Oh, no one can hear you on the. This is a one-sided conversation everyone's seeing on this Be Right Back screen right now. This is very funny. This. If we're doing, no, they can't. They can only hear me responding to you and this backing music. Well, everyone, I am trying to get another game set up on the stream right now. I don't normally do this. Yeah, so we're gonna be moving on to. Andy is antagonizing me in the background because I believe he can't be heard on stream right now. It'll be very funny. This is an interesting show we got here today, ladies and germs. Oh no. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, hang on. All right, we're coming back. We're coming back. And in just a moment. Oh, it's not working. Oh yeah, it's working. It is working. Live. All right. All right, everyone can hear you singing too. That's funny. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to part 2 of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. I think I've broken Andy with my Be Right Back screen.
Now.
Oh no.
Are you playing a game now? I can't see a game
I,
if
I
you
I
are.
am. I'm just not streaming it to you on Discord anymore. Let
Oh,
me change
dude.
that real quick. Let me change that real
Oh, no, it's
quick.
cool. I could just watch it on twitch.television.
Okay, nice. That is where we're streaming at twitch.television.
Please like, comment it. Look, we have people who watch this on YouTube because according to numbers,
Oh, it is.
uh,
Yeah, that's true.
unless they're all Russian bots, which is possible. But
It is
if
possible.
you do enjoy listening to us talk about games and the gaming industry and our favorite games and capitalism and the pointlessness of our feeble existence on this mortal coil, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube so you can see when our streams come. You can also follow us on twitch.television at pharmacokinetic.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how to spell that, but
Yeah,
it
I was
should
just
be
gonna say, I bet you no one will know how to spell it, so and I'm not really a marketing guy, so here we are.
yeah.
That's just what we're doing, I guess.
But again, we do get videos. Sometimes it's like, hey, there's a lot of views on this video, and I'm surprised. Not a lot, like not 1,000.
There are
or
so
something.
many. Today there was 2. That's 2 more than normal.
I mean, look, for a show that like we don't have a website, we don't have a Twitter, like we don't promote this show at
Yeah,
all. We just
I
hop on.
literally just go to my personal Twitch account and then I start a stream and then upload it to YouTube on a channel and then yeah, that's it.
So like if
So
we
that's
get
it.
more than like 3, that's more than we expected because we're not promoting the show. We just kind of do it for fun. So
Yeah.
if you do like it or it was recommended to you or something, subscribe.
Yeah. I don't think they
And
can
hit that-
subscribe
hit
to
that
me on Twitch, but they can
notification bell.
subscribe on YouTube. So do it there.
You can subscribe on Twitch. Well, you can like follow on Twitch.
Yeah, you can follow on Twitch. Yeah, subscriptions. I need to do this more often. We need more viewers. I don't
This
know all
game
the
looks
hard
mad
numbers on
fun.
that. Yeah, it's great. Very similar to the one I was streaming, Stranger in Paradise. You can tell there's a lot of shared DNA with this modern, like somewhere between Neo and Sekiro type action game, and it's kind of the new default type of thing. Whereas I think 15 years ago it was like the game with a lot of QTEs in it. Probably now things are drawn a lot from Souls and whatnot. And I
Is it
like that personally.
is it too hard for me? Do you think I would think it's too hard?
You might, but also there is an easy mode. And I've never tried it, so I don't know how much easier it is. Oh, get wrecked, moron!
Wow.
Oh no, he didn't die. Oh man. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
There's a stream delay. You're not going to see it yet.
You gotta fall down. No, I can see it. You gotta
okay.
fall down and fight.
Yeah. I thought he was gonna
Um,
fall to his infinite pit death, and that was not true. Oh no.
because there was not
Oh,
an
no.
infinite
Oh,
pit
no.
for him to die in.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
All right, so what are we talking about now? Did you want me to talk about Final Fantasy?
Yeah, I would love for you to talk to me about Final Fantasy VII. So I started my playthrough. I don't remember if we talked about it last time, but I have played very little of it. I played literally like the intro sequence of the game, and that is it. And then I stopped, and I will get back to it because I need to keep going on it. Oh boy. Oh. Interesting.
Oh. He doesn't want to follow you onto the elevator.
He sure doesn't.
He's not into it.
All right. So I haven't played a whole ton. So I'm not very far in the story, so I don't even have like a whole lot to say on that particular front. But I am wildly curious to hear what your thoughts are on landmark, legendary, one of the most critically acclaimed and important games of all time, Final Fantasy VII, for the PlayStation 1. And you are playing on... What are you playing on?
PlayStation 1? It's not even on the 2?
Oh, yeah, dude. This game came out in 97, man.
That's crazy.
97, dude. It's almost 30 years old.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so let's start at the top. I'm gonna tell you my first thought when I started playing this game,
Mhm.
which is I started playing and I was like, God, this game is ugly as sin. Which
I mean, it is.
here's the thing. This game is not ugly as sin. It actually looks remarkably, amazingly good a lot of the time. However, I think I wish I was playing this on a CRT TV
Yes.
because I'm playing
Yes.
it on the Switch and the HD 3D models, like they look so disgusting in like that like polished polygonal way that would look better on a fuzzy TV. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'm playing the Switch version. And the problem that these ports do have, like I'm sure that if I had like an extensively modded PC version that there'd be ways to do this. Like I know there's a version of like a mod for the Final Fantasy IX version that like upscales all the pre-rendered backgrounds so they look very nice and a little bit more cohesive because it is like take the actual original models and then pretty much apply like that really smooth emulator filtering and upscaling to the 3D models, but the backgrounds are basically just still the original PS1 like resolution, so they're really mismatched. So all the
Yeah,
characters
yeah.
look like you're clicking and dragging a character around the screen in Paint, kind of, you know?
Yeah, and it looks and they just I don't know, the characters didn't age well, especially like on the overworld in this HD way that they look. But
Yeah, the combat models look much better. They're much different. I still think those hold up all right, like art design wise and everything. But yeah, the overworld models are like they're they're pretty tough to look at.
yeah, this game is it's pretty remarkable. And so like I'll say too for the audience that like I haven't really played a Final Fantasy game before. I played FF6 and I want to say I played maybe the first third of it or something. And then I kind of just fell off. Like I wasn't into it. I wanted to try it because again, like people consider FF6 and FF7 to be some of the best RPGs of all time and I'm kind of just interested in playing them, but 7 in particular. Yeah, I think this game is so wildly ambitious from a storytelling perspective, and in a lot of ways it feels like incredibly modern. Like in a lot of ways it really feels like it matches the style of game storytelling that would be in like a God of War game. Like in any AAA game, the way they tell the stories and the way they're presented feels so influenced by this game and they feel right at home in like 2025. Do you agree?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I've said numerous times, I think on the show as well, that like I always thought of Final Fantasy VII as like a great game, but like I didn't understand why, even when I was younger, that people were like, "Oh, this is like the greatest thing ever made. Like nothing will ever be better than this." I always thought it was like a quote unquote overrated, like in that kind of capacity, I guess. Oh, I did actually knock a guy over the edge this time. Haha, it works.
There you go. See,
Anyways,
that's interesting to me because I didn't play this as a kid and I could feel like if I was 7 or something playing, I'm playing Crash Bandicoot, I'm playing Spyro, and then I play this game. I can feel that I would be like, "Whoa. This game is trying to do something way loftier and way bigger than any game I've ever tried to play before."
yeah, well, so Final Fantasy VIII was like my first like RPG, and so I had already kind of seen like Square trying to do like really crazy things with the story and everything. So I think in that regard, like this is one of your more I don't want to say this is a more honest attempt than the Final Fantasy VI playthrough, but it's a more recent attempt at being like, hey, I want to honestly understand what's cool about this thing. You know what I mean? And I think just
Yeah.
fundamentally that perspective, because you have such a different context than I do, where it's just like, yeah, well, I grew up playing Final Fantasy, so I kind of knew what they were about for the most part, and knew
Yeah.
what a lot
But I
of
think
the common through lines were. So
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm saying is like I can see why people thought it was so mind-blowing and so important when it did come out where like, you thought it was under I kind to be honest with you, like from my own personal perspective, I think nowadays if you didn't grow up with it, it probably is overrated, and I don't know if I would recommend it to people unless they're really interested in the history of games. But I can see why when it came out, it was like a huge leap forward and like a huge just sort of like it almost feels like a shift. Like again, imagine playing Crash Bandicoot and then this game. It feels like there's such a shift happening that you would be like, "Whoa,
Yeah,
is
well,
this like what games can be?"
yeah,
you
Crash
know?
Bandicoot 1 was also literally my first PS1 game. So yeah, I do understand that context. I think the thing is just like a lot of people had their minds blown specifically in that capacity by Final Fantasy VII, whereas for
That's what I
me,
mean,
by the
yeah.
time I played games like that, I played a different Final Fantasy. So like it
Right.
doesn't live in my head in the same way. Whereas, like you're saying, like the whole intro with like the the pre-rendered cutscene and then it transitions directly into you hopping off the train into the opening bombing mission and the music's happening and it doesn't stop when you transition into a battle. Like everything about like the idea of like, whoa, there's a lot that just went into like the first like I'm talking like the first 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and it's
And
like
that
just something's like, whoa, this was just not what video games were in 1997.
yeah,
So
and again, like you play it now and you're like, "Oh, that's like how video games still are." In 20 like we
yeah,
still have those big opening cutscenes and big set pieces with like orchestrated music and stuff. So in that regard it does feel kind of modern, you know?
yeah. So remind me, and I guess to also tell the audience how much of the game that you've played up to. So I guess like really minor spoilers for like early-ish in Final Fantasy VII. If that matters to you. Andy's going through it for the first time, and he's never played it before, and he knows very little. So,
Yeah, I'm like just maybe a couple hours past the end of the opening Midgar section.
okay, so you have left Midgar, and you're on the world map.
Yep.
Finally, yes. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. That is a thing that, like, in retrospect, I think is a very interesting thing, because all that presentation and kind of guiding you along means that like you actually are you're kind of on rails. On rails is a little bit too, I think, intensive a term, but like you're for the most part guided towards, okay, now here's a point where now you're just on the world map and you can in theory kind of walk wherever you have access to at that point, you know.
Are you not on rails? My impression playing it was that I was mostly on rails in Midgar. Is
Yeah,
that
you
not
you
true?
you pretty much are. Yeah. Like
Okay,
there's
yeah.
there's some secret stuff, but yeah, it's the game just like opens up. So I just think it's interesting that like that first part is like, oh, well maybe this is going to be different than the old games, which also had like world maps and stuff, and a lot of
Right.
wandering around. Um but then they just go, actually yes, no, that is still happening in this game.
Yeah. I think I have so many takeaways. I think artistically is this game is like better executed artistically than like some games today, to be honest with you. And it's like all the weird little subtle things where like I can picture all these weird scenes where like there's like one I can picture where you're sort of going down like a tunnel. What am I trying to say? It's almost like you're going down a well in the ground, and there's like this pathway that Cloud is walking down in a circle on the edge of this well,
Oh
and the
yeah, and
camera.
you watch him spiral slowly and get smaller all the way down as you're doing it.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
when you get to the bottom, it like cuts to a scene where like Cloud is far away from the camera and you have to walk towards the camera to the next transition. And I feel like every little section of this game, they have orchestrated the camera angle to be like very interesting. And even in those moments where you're like, I know I'm just walking to the next story beat. They're sort of like building tension with all of those camera angles because you're like, oh, Cloud's getting closer to the camera. The world is getting more claustrophobic and closer together. But like, I think that attention to detail in every scene of the world is remarkable. Like, why don't games today still do stuff like that? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Well, here's the thing. I think they do, but they do it in more bombast ways. Like, Like if
Yeah.
we get to like the aughts and everything, right? Like if we were going to talk about like the original God of War trilogy before we get to 2018 where it starts to do the over the shoulder stuff, you know. Even that had like fixed camera angles, so like you'd come around a corner and the camera would point you at this crazy thing in the distance that the PS2 could only render in that specific camera angle because it was maxing out the memory, and they literally had to design it that way to show you this cool thing that they wanted, you know. So the neat part about that is like I think part of it was like the technical limitation of like, well, how do we convey this crazy scale of an idea without, you know, being completely limited by the fact that we have hardware and I can't like actually make this crazy thing in front of me? How do we make it look like Cloud's walking down this crazy tunnel for like a million years when I can really only have like one character model and then like two pictures to do it with, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think that limitation, I think it's so effective, and again, I think it's, I don't know, to my personal taste, it feels like more effective than the stuff games are trying to do today. Like it just proves so much more that you can do so much more and sometimes better with a lot of limitations. Like that is like when I see those scenes, I'm like, man, this game is like really ambitious and very well executed to this day still when I see that stuff.
Yeah, and you said you've gotten only a couple hours out of Midgar, and like there's a lot more to be seen. And you know, I think part of it is
Yeah.
also like you mentioned just like the art and everything. Like a lot of that is like the framing, but like even just like the character designs and everything are so iconic. Like we're talking about Final Fantasy VII. Andy, look at the weapon my character is holding in the first
Yeah.
Berserker Kazan right now. That is
Yeah.
just the Buster Sword with the serial number filed off and an artistic thing in the middle. You know, like that's how iconic some of that stuff is in terms of like how significant is this? And don't get me wrong, like the Buster Sword is just Guts' Dragon Slayer from Berserk, but you know, my point still stands. Like some of these very specific, that is this big sword. It's like, yeah, I look at that and I go, yeah, that's the Buster Sword, just straight up. Like I don't care what they call that in this game. I'm calling that the Buster Sword because that's what it
Yeah.
is, you know.
Yeah, I think Midgar is a very interesting opening. I think in general, I feel like there may have been some minor translation issues because I feel like the writing, like the actual dialogue the characters have, can be very like hit or miss and can feel a little awkward sometimes.
Final
I'm
Fantasy
interested.
VII famously has a terrible translation. Its
Yeah, okay.
localization is rough.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, I haven't always thought it was terrible. I
Here's the
did.
thing. There's so much. I guess I'll say this without saying anything about what happens later on. There's so much stuff that people have gone and looked at, like what the Japanese script says versus what the actual officially released American script says, and it's like some scenes and some key things are just like not conveyed the same way at all, and there's some big changes and whiffs. And so I'm curious what you'll think about all that, because we live in a world now where I'm playing part 2 of 3 of Final Fantasy 7 remakes, you know. And so part of it is they're working on trying to smooth out, you know, what is the story and presentation for everyone actually supposed to be. um yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot to say about the beginning part. I mean, Cloud is
There really
lame.
is.
Cloud is super lame, and like you're supposed to think he's lame. At least I
I'm so
think.
glad you agree. He's
He's
such a
so lame.
weirdo loser.
He's so lame. I think I knew that going in, but I'm like, yeah, Cloud is just like you're supposed to, right? Like you're going on all these. You're with it's Barrett and Tifa, and they're like part of this how do you describe it? They're part of this like regime, this coalition to like uh to take down, what's the name of the big organization? Why can't I remember?
So they're
Shinra, right?
yeah, so they are Avalanche, which is basically a revolutionary, or I mean they are effectively, based on their actions in the very beginning of this, they're eco terrorists.
Yeah.
But they are revolutionaries who are trying to fight against the evil Shinra Electric Company, who has built this city of Midgar. And there's big old Mako reactors, they call them. And Mako is energy that comes directly from the Earth. They have these big reactors that suck the energy out of the Earth. I wonder what this might be some kind of metaphor for, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
I
it's
feel like
very
they
weird. This evil money corporation do the kill the Earth for money. I wonder what that's based on. Huh.
very subtle.
Strange. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so like everyone that's surrounded by Cloud is like they're like these noble people, and like Barrett has a daughter, and he's like, I'm trying to take down Shinra so my daughter will have a better life because Shinra's like literally destroying the earth, and Cloud's just like, how much you gonna pay me, bro? 75 quid? Like, and you're just like, dude,
Yeah, he's literally
like
like, I'm here for the cash. I am a mercenary. And he's presented to us initially as an ex-soldier, which I don't know
yes.
if you caught that or like have followed exactly what that was supposed to mean because it's very
Yeah,
cryptically explained in the beginning. So
it means like effectively Soldier was like the organization that was like doing Shinra's bidding, basically, right?
soldier is like a unit within. So Shinra, despite being an electric company, they have their own military. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they are straight up a fascist like militaristic corporation. Like that is what they are. And Soldier is basically like a special forces group within them. And Cloud formerly the very first thing that we see when you go into the very first battle. Before you see his name or anything else, you go in and the name that shows up next to your health bar is ex-soldier, and soldier is in all capitals. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so I did catch that, and he does say that he was like an ex-soldier. He used to work for that division, and yeah,
yeah.
so Cloud's lame, and then you have all this cool, these cool little set pieces, and they Shinra like drops this giant plate onto like an entire sector of the city, like killing everyone in the city, including Barrett's daughter, which is messed up. Because you were trying to destroy a second reactor, I think, right? Like right before this happened.
They were trying to plot to get to another reactor,
Yeah.
and Shinra decides to drop the plate on Sector 7, which is the slums where Barrett and Tifa and all of them were located, basically. And
Yeah.
yeah, they just murder everyone there, and it is so unceremonious.
Yeah.
They kind of just do it, and everyone dies.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's pretty haunting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like haunting because it's so unceremonious, and like everything just continues on. Like it's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah,
yeah,
they are
and then
cartoonishly evil. Like, make
yeah.
no mistake, Shinra are like hilariously evil. So
Yeah. So then that's kind of when Cloud is finally like, all right, like Shinra's bad, like let's fight against Shinra. I mean, he actually is more hype than that than I'm making him sound. But that's kind of when Cloud is like, all right, let's actually go fight these dudes. So then when you go to the actual Shinra Corporation, I think this was probably the most interesting. I don't know if it's exactly like a twist, but like when you go to the Shinra Corporation, it's like effectively any like any modern office setting where there's like a gym and there's like corporate workers who are like working out and just trying to do their work, and like you can talk to them and they're all like normal people and they're just like, yeah, trying to pay my bills. And like I feel like that was such an effective commentary because you feel like you're going to show up and get like this onslaught of actual soldiers from the Shinra Corp, and when you find out, well, it's just a bunch of people who are stuck in like a terrible system that they need to try and survive in so that they can pay their rent. I was like, oh, dog,
oh, interesting.
it's
I wonder. Oh
2025.
yeah. I wonder.
Dog,
Geez. I if only that was like something in real life. You know.
but like I can't. I was like, dog, are you kidding me? This is from like 30 years ago. Like this is such a good, and like again, it's kind of works because it's unceremonious and because you're expecting something different, and you're just like, oh, it's just normal people working corporate jobs. It's so
Yeah.
depressing.
Yeah, yeah. These people who are just like, yeah, and so many of them, they're talking and they're just talking about what great work they think Shinra's doing and blah 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 because they really truly genuinely believe that 'cause they don't know what damage there is actually being done. by the place that they work. So they just very
Yeah,
happily go along and they work, and a bunch of those guys live on. So the plate that they dropped, right? And when we say plate, Midgar as a city is basically a big circle, and it's two tiers, and it is quite literally the upper plate is where the rich people live. The people who have money, they live on top of the plate, and everyone else lives underneath. And so the song that actually plays in that section, I don't know, you wouldn't have ever seen any of the names of the songs, but it's called "Underneath the Rotting Pizza." So that's what they refer to it as. And so the slums live quite literally underneath just this giant disc of a city of where all the rich people are, and they can't see the sun. The only reason there's light there is because there's artificial lights that shine down from the bottom of the plate.
yeah, it's a
It
bummer.
is
It's a
nightmarish.
real
It
bummer.
is quite literally, we made a city where we put the poor people below the rich people.
Yeah, and that's kind of the coolest thing I think about besides the art direction overall is like Midgar, even 30 years later, just exploring it has such a vibe. Like it feels like oppressive and fascinating, and like extremely detailed in like every scene, and like weirdly it's kind of cool to be in Midgar. Like it shouldn't feel cool, but like it feels cool because artistically it's such an interesting weird place. But like it's vibes out the wazoo, like everywhere you go. And I love there's like a lot of cool scenes too where like you can go to the edge of Midgar where there's effectively like a big wall. Like you kind of see that the characters are in a dome, and there's like a big glass wall at the end of the dome. And I love that like you can see the camera is placed almost like 150 feet outside of the dome, and so your characters are these small specks in the distance. But like
Yeah.
just outside the dome is like this literally like a desert. Like it's just dead outside the dome. And like I don't know, just every like that scene and all those little scenes are just vibes. Like you're just like, "Oh man, what a weird oppressive, like it's conveyed so well." And like without dialogue. Like sure, they talk about how hard their lives are, but I feel like largely you feel like Midgar is oppressive because of how it's depicted visually.
Yeah, there is a lot of show don't tell that exists, and I think that's part of why, in spite of Final Fantasy VII's translation issues, so much of it comes across anyways. Just because, as
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah.
you have visually conveyed the point in so many different ways, and then even when the dialogue's a little stilted, it's like, oh, it's very clear what they're trying to say here, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So it's just it's a cool it's a very cool opening sequence for a lot of reasons. I wasn't like fully pulled in by the story at this point. When I got to Shinra Corp, I was a little bit more fascinated by like that commentary on capitalism and like systemic oppression, which was again, it was like cool, it felt modern. But I wasn't that pulled in by the story at this point. And to be honest, I was a little bit like I kind of knew I wasn't supposed to like Cloud, but I was like, am I supposed to care about Barrett and Tifa? Because I really don't care about them at all yet. And that's to say nothing of Eris, who you stumble upon too. Um,
Hmm.
I was like, I don't care about these people. Like I probably will, but I don't yet.
You are still quite early on in the story. I have a
Cool.
question. So,
Yeah.
which I'm trying to, can you just go through high level like what story beats you remember you've gotten through? So, again, anyone, for spoilers for an almost 30-year-old game, um please don't spoil Andy, cuz Andy actually does not know, if you are around or in the chat or anything like that. Um I'm
Post
just,
Midgar, you mean?
yeah, yeah, because so you made it past Midgar, because I want to know like exactly how far you've made it, because just also for context, remake ends like 1 second before you leave Midgar, and rebirth starts after that point. And I don't know exactly where it ends, but I have a pretty good idea of where I think it's gonna. So
Yeah. All right. So I left Midgar, and then you go find the Chocobo farm, and they're like, "Hey, go catch Chocobo," and you're like, hell yeah, I'm gonna catch a chocobo. And then you
Nice.
catch a chocobo, and then I cross this little desert. Oh no, before the chocobo, you actually go to a little town, which uh you go to this town, and then basically all the characters interrogate Cloud. They're like, "All right, we know that you know more about Shinra because you were in Soldier, and we know that you know more about Sephiroth, who is like mentioned briefly in the Midgar section." And so then you play through this pretty cool little section where Cloud is like, "Hey, I used to be with Sephiroth in Soldier, like we were friends and we fought together." And then you play through this little sequence in the past where you were at your hometown with Sephiroth. And he's like, "Oh, we gotta go check out this Mako reactor that's up in the mountains behind your hometown, Cloud." And he's like, "Cool, that'll be super chill. What could possibly go wrong?" And then you go do that, and effectively, Sephiroth, who again with the show not tell, it's very cool that like you fight alongside Sephiroth, and like Cloud, you're like hit attack, and Cloud will attack these enemies, and it's like 4 damage, and then Sephiroth will do like ice 3, and it does like 30,400 damage, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh
and
my god.
one shot's the big dragon that wipes you out in one hit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
it's
he
it's
just murders.
awesome mechanical showing like,
Yes.
oh, he's a freak and he is on a different level than everyone and everything around him.
Yeah, it's so that's like probably the coolest part of like that's probably like my favorite part of the entire game so far is that sequence when Sephiroth just starts murdering stuff. I'm like, "Ah, this was cool. What a cool detail for them to do 30 years ago."
Yep. Yeah.
Um
In
yeah.
retrospect, like as a kid, I thought that was cool. In retrospect, it's like I really cannot like overstate like how awesome that section really is in context, especially with
All right.
like what was being done with video games at the time. So good, so good.
And not to pit them against each other. Um we'll get to this later, but they did steal that directly from Dragon Quest V, and that's fine. I forgive them for that. But Dragon Quest V did it first. So anyway,
I'm here's the thing. I'm pretty sure like there's been guest characters in earlier Final Fantasy games. I just think the presentation of that particular section as well,
yes,
like
it's
it's
so
just
cool.
really good, you know.
Yeah. So basically Sephiroth, you stumble across this old lab in the Mako reactor. I don't know if it's like part of the Mako reactor, but he finds this lab where effectively like Sephiroth being in this lab, he kind of surmises that that Shinra has been creating these humanoid like super soldiers with Mako that are like these mutated horrific monsters that are crazy strong. And Sephiroth sort of surmises that he might be one of those. So he goes back to your hometown, and he finds this lab. I don't know how he knew this lab was underground, but
It's
he's like, "I'm going to go to
it's a they call it the Shinra Mansion. It's literally like
yes.
owned by Shinra. It's I think where it's the reason why Shinra built a reactor and everything over there because they already owned land nearby. So
Yep.
it is a, a,
So
a Shinra specific place that has a lot of like a library in the basement, basically.
yeah, so he goes down and he rifles through all these books, and he basically figures out that like way in the past there was a race of ancients which are called, what are they called? It's something with a C.
The Cetra, yeah. So they will be called the Ancients or they're named the Cetra, kind of
Or the Cetra,
interchangeably,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yep. So he figures out that there were the ancients slash the Cetra, and then there was like humanity, which sort of, I don't know if they came out of the Cetra or they were already on the planet. That was like the one thing I wasn't clear on.
Um, at this point in the game, I think basically all they tell you is that the ancients they were here a long time ago before people were. They were really in tune with the planet and the life stream and Mako energy and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's about
And
all they
so
talk about the ancients. We don't get a lot of clarity on them, really.
yeah, he just kind of says that humans, like, there was like a big apocalyptic event basically, and humans were able to like hide themselves away, and that's how they survived. And I don't know, Sephiroth thinks that's cowardly for some reason. Like he calls humanity like cowards.
Mm.
Um, and he finds out that his mother, who has some weird name like Jakarta or something, what's her name?
Genova.
Genova. Um, it was sealed away, and he is the descendant of his mother. So he finds out that he's like this crazy, destructive, ancient monster descended from Genova, and his purpose, he decides, is to like destroy humanity and reclaim the earth for him and Genova. Um, which is not exceptionally cool of him,
It's not great.
but
No.
it's not great. And like it's kind of, I don't know. It's interesting how they characterize him because he immediately, like, when it's happening, I was like, oh well, this is his supervillain origin story that he's like, I was just created by the scientists and like I'm gonna take vengeance on humanity. But no, it's actually kind of the opposite. He's like it's actually my destiny because I'm like a freakish super soldier to destroy humanity.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, and point of clarification at this point, what he gets from the book is he basically puts together. He goes, okay, the Cetra were there, blah blah blah, the ancients. Genova was also around at this time, so he goes, oh, so clearly Genova is an ancient, and Genova's my mother, which means I'm an ancient, which means I'm the
right.
chosen one, basically.
Yes, right. Yep.
Yeah,
So he
that's
he kind of he hoists it like upon himself to be the destroyer of humanity. Like not because he hates them or he has wants vengeance against them. He just sort of decides that he's the chosen one, I guess.
Yeah, and
Um
and all this because part of it is also he just has no understanding of his origin, and him being like, well, was I made? This whole Genova thing is in here somewhere, and he's confused. Like this breaks his mind. Like all these
yeah.
things, like he's not like sitting here like rationally coming to all these things. He's basically like in the corner doing like an evil supervillain laugh, delivering this as like a monologue kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he's like, oh, no wonder I'm so strong. It's because I'm supposed to be.
So I don't know if this is true, but I feel like in the way you're presenting this to me is I feel like he's gonna find out he's wrong later, and there's gonna be some weird twist, which I didn't think that before I started talking to you, but now I feel like
The only
there
reason I'm
might be.
saying like what we know at this point is because we just find out more about Sephiroth and the ancients and yada yada yada
Mm.
later on.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
I'm not trying to imply anything in specific. Just like we only have some part of the puzzle at this point in the story.
Yeah.
And you'll get more later. You won't get like a totally complete picture, but you will get more. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And so then Cloud, Sephiroth runs off, and then in probably like the other like insane, like probably the other craziest point that's happened so far in this game is Cloud walks out of the mansion and his entire hometown is just like up in flames. Like just every house is burnt to ash, and it's like one of the most haunting things I've ever seen in a video game ever. Like just cuz it's, I don't know, it's so unexpected and it's so simple. I was like, "Oh, this is
Yep,
terrifying."
and that is
like,
where we get the iconic shot of Sephiroth walking through the flames into the blackness of the background that he
yeah, yep,
created. And that is like that shot has been recreated so many times in so many things because that is like that's one of those like, oh, this is what we do in video games now, I guess. Cuz this is 1997. We didn't really do crazy long cutscenes and yada yada. This is like the statement shot, you know. So
yeah. So that's kind of that happens. Then you get a chocobo,
yeah,
and
well,
then
there's I mean there's more to the flashback too. There.
is there
Oh yeah, well, because
what?
he burns
Because
the whole
he
village, but then
attacked.
he goes up to the reactor. Remember?
Oh yeah, and then yes, okay. So there is a little more. So you
Yeah.
show up, and Tifa tries to stop him. He attacks Tifa in a way that like Cloud actually says later that he thinks that she died. And then he basically like tries to stand up to Sephiroth, and Sephiroth, we're like, well, he's definitely gonna kill Cloud. And then for some reason that we don't know, Cloud is like, I don't remember anything after that. Like I don't know how I survived. I just know that I woke up and like he spared me for some reason that I'm not sure.
Yeah. So
Um, and
that's what we got. And so
and
Sephiroth
then
killed
you
his
get a
whole family
chocobo,
and burned his hometown. So
and then you get
and
a
then you get a
chocobo.
chocobo. Yes,
Um,
the best fictional beast in all things.
the portable
I
chicken,
I love chocobos so much. They're
the
so
original
great.
portable chicken.
I love them so much. They're so good.
They're awesome. So yeah, so this was officially the moment that I was like, all right, I'm intrigued. Like I want to continue this game like beyond a quote unquote professional curiosity to just see. Like now I'm like personally like I'm intrigued for sure,
Yeah,
and I want
yeah.
to see it.
Here's the thing. This I was hoping you were going to say that because to me that is the point in the game where you are either in on Final Fantasy VII or you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say so other like top level things. So like shortly after that, you do the little chocobo section, and then I went to a town that's like on the water side, and I fought a big fish boss, and that's like where I stopped.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
yep.
Nice.
But so I'll say like other top level things. I don't. I'm like learning more about the materia system. I feel like I wish I paid a little bit more attention at the beginning, but I don't like.
Oh, it's so
phen-
good, dude. Oh,
I
it's such a
don't.
great equipment system.
It's good. I don't phenomenally love the combat system in this game.
Interesting.
I think okay. First of all, in Midgar especially, it's like 80% cutscenes and like 20% combat. So I was kind of waiting for the point that they were going to be like, all right, like go through a little dungeon and fight some characters to level up. And it feels like it's so story heavy sometimes that I'm like, oh, I forgot this game even had combat at all.
Yeah, well, considering you pretty much have just gotten out of Midgar, you have hit the point where finally like the game opens up. So,
Yeah.
like I think just right now, just as you continue to play forward, your opinion will change a little bit just because the structure of the game has fundamentally changed from you kind of being in, all right, we're going to point you on the path that you need to be on to get the story bits that you need to and go in the right direction. And now it's going to open up. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you've done
It's
that a
cool.
little bit so far. It's going to be a lot more like what you're doing now than how the first part of the game was.
Okay.
So
I mean, it's cool. The I feel like the materia system, again, I didn't look at the manual. I'm sure if this were like 1997 and I had the manual, it probably explains a lot more clearly how the materia worked. Like it took me a minute to figure out that like, oh, if I put the all materia with the fire materia, that means I can use fire on all the enemies. But like originally
yeah.
I was I don't know what all means.
Yep.
Like
Yeah. Here's the thing, and that's why I guess I don't know how much to speak on the materia system if you're still like working out all that stuff because there becomes more and more. I guess I'll just say like interesting type stuff that you end up
cool.
getting to do with that. So I think you should continue to explore it. That will also make the combat more interesting because like you find out that using the materia system, you can make like builds for your character basically. You
Yeah,
know,
I do. The
so
thing I like about it in particular is I do like that. I don't know. You can put the cure materia on any character, and so in that way, you have a lot of flexibility. It's not traditional in the sense that like, well, here's my magic user, here's my healer, here's my attack buff. Like you kind of have some flexibility to build the characters how you want, and I think that's the thing I like about it the most.
yeah, that's what I dig about the materia system because you ultimately like who are the three characters that I really want to see on the screen the most, or whose limit breaks or whatever. This one specific thing that you like the most about them that justifies why you want them in your party. And then you can kind of make them into the character that you want them to. Like everyone has
Yeah.
predispositions of like this stat will be higher than this other stat innately, you know, but by changing so adding materia also like changes stats as well.
Yes.
So you can also account or I guess compensate for being weaker in an area that you maybe want them to be stronger in, or you can just really lean into their strengths too. So it's good. It's like you said. I think the flexibility of the system kind of is the strength of it. Because I'm not sure who is in your party at this point in the game. I'm
Um,
struggling remembering.
You
You'll
saying
have
who did I choose or who is an option?
who is an option, and then I guess who's, because I know you said Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett before. I don't know if you're still rocking them, but
You right now you can have Cloud, Tifa, Barrett, Red 8 or Red
Red 13,
13,
yeah.
Red 13, and I think I have access to Eris too.
Okay, that sounds right.
Um,
Gotcha.
and I mean, to me, there's only one clear choice, which is Cloud, Tifa, Red 13.
Yeah,
Who else would you choose?
what was my party? I think, did I do the same thing? I'm trying to think who I did growing up. I think I did. I definitely had Cloud and Red. Who was my third character? I think it was
It wasn't
Tifa.
Tifa. I was gonna say it's
I
got to
think
be
I think
Tifa.
it was Tifa. Actually,
Um,
it was either Tifa or there is another character you have not met yet. Um,
mm,
yeah.
it's fine. It's weird because I love Dragon Quest, and I feel like Dragon Quest is, in terms of combat, is like as simple as JRPGs get, but I feel like this game somehow the combat is simple but in a way that I kind of find boring. And I don't know if part of that is the presentation. Like the presentation again feels kind of modern. Like it's kind of cool that during a boss's like attack animation, you can still select your moves. Like that feels kind of, you're like, "Wow, I can't believe like the menus are still existing while the combat is going on." Like that feels kind of fresh, but um
You
I
know
don't
what's
know. It
really
does.
interesting is that to me is like the default because I grew up playing Final Fantasy and not Dragon Quest. So you're like,
Yeah.
this is cool and interesting and different. And like for me, whenever I see a game that doesn't do that, I'm like, it feels like it's wresting control away from me.
Well, I don't know. Even
Even though it's
compared to
really not
Final
actually
Fantasy 6.
different, it's just visually how it's displaying the information, you know?
But
So,
Final Fantasy 6 doesn't do that. Like there's not like 3D animations happening with camera swings happening while you're able to still access the menu.
well, sure, but like they did in 8 and 9, I can tell you that much. So,
Yeah. So I don't know. That aspect of it I think is kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. The combat has not hooked me, and maybe that's just because I haven't had a lot of it yet. Like maybe like you said, now that there's more of the combat, I'll get more into why it's cool and stuff. But yeah, I feel like this is my other thesis too that I've walked away with is I feel like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy are sort of like polar opposites in certain ways.
okay, interesting.
Like I feel like while Dragon Quest has an amazing presentation and always has it's always has like great character centric stories that you experience. It doesn't ever, like, it does always have a big like we're gonna save the world plot, but that's never the pull of Dragon Quest games. The pull of Dragon Quest games is all of these small character centric stories. But more than that, Dragon Quest is like all gameplay first. Like you are playing Dragon Quest to grind out some enemies and get in the vibe of the world and smack some slimes and level up, and like the story feels secondary, at least to me. It's kind of like the excuse for you to play the fun game. Where like this game feels like you're playing this grand ambitious story with this over the top presentation, and also you can tell Tifa to punch a guy, and that's like the gameplay that happens to be tied onto it. If that makes sense.
Uh, I kind of see what you mean. Yeah, having not played any of the Dragon Quest games, I can't speak to how that is, but like I see what you're saying. I do also think that having played a bunch of those games, it was also an era of video game where I think what we would consider more subtle changes in gameplay or presentation or whatever were considered more significant back then. You know,
Hmm.
partially because of technical limitations, partially just because of where the industry and design was at the time, you know. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I at some point I probably am gonna have to play a Dragon Quest game just to say that I did and to see and enjoy it and see the difference and get another one of those, you know, wildly influential, popular franchises under my belt too. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's I'm definitely with you, and I think it's especially more so in the PlayStation era because like the whole reason that like Final Fantasy VII is on the PlayStation and was not on the Nintendo 64 was because Nintendo was really stubborn about sticking with their cartridges, and Nintendo
Yep.
64 cartridges just didn't have enough memory to do what Square wanted to do with all the cutscenes and stuff. So they went to
Yeah,
Sony, and
and
that's
that's
I guess
that's
like
fine.
I think I mean just to lean into your point, like about like that's what it was about is like it was important enough for them to completely change like console platforms because that was what they wanted to do, you know.
Yeah.
So
And that's, that's fine. It's not a knock on it. It just feels like for my personal preference, it's like Final Fantasy is trying to tell like a big grand ambitious story. That's sort of like their first priority, or at least what it feels like to me. And Dragon Quest feels like more gameplay first and like vibe first, and the story is a great part of it, but they sort of stand in different ways in that, and that's just a preference thing for me. Like, I don't know, there's
yeah,
nothing wrong with wanting to tell a grand ambitious story. That's cool too.
yeah, I am very curious to see how you feel about things moving forward because you are at like a very specific inflection point in what Final Fantasy VII is and what it starts to do and where it goes. So you having feelings
And
now, I'm very curious, like as you keep going, what you're gonna have to say next. So
I don't
we ended up
I,
actually being like at a really specifically awesome time for you to talk about your like in progress feelings, honestly. So
I don't love all the like the cheesy tweeny romantic stuff. That stuff I could probably leave and I would feel fine about.
yeah, so if you so you got through Midgar, means you did the whole
So
Don
when
Corneo cross dressing section. Very
yeah, which
funny.
was like whatever.
Um,
When can I choose whether I get to kiss Eris or Tifa?
there is
That's
a
what every 13-year-old is thinking
there
right
is
now at this point in the
so
story.
it's less a I'll tell you this much, it's less a choice, at least not an active choice. It's not like you're gonna
Yeah.
get to a place and be like, I want to go on a date with this one or this one. Over the course of the game, there are certain dialogue options that you have chosen or whatever in response to something that either gain or lose you points with Aerith, Tifa, and Barrett. And whoever you
What? You
get the
can
most points with at the end of this is when you get to a certain point, and you'll know. Um, have you heard of the place called the Gold Saucer yet? It's like
no.
Disneyland. Yeah, it's like
No.
Final Fantasy VII Disneyland. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I
and when you
want it
get
to be.
there, you'll go on a date with someone, depending on how
I,
those points shake out. So
I want it to be
I hope you've
Tifa.
been
Though
nicest to who you want to kiss.
I want it to be Tifa, though I will say I feel like I've made some dialogue options that they're like, "Uh-oh, I won't tell Tifa about that." And I'm like, "Oh no."
Oh man, yeah, Tifa is the
My
best girl. Everybody who doesn't want to punch girl, she's gonna punch
yeah.
someone for you.
Yeah, who doesn't want Tifa? Um so yeah, the other thing is too, I alluded to this a little bit to you, is if I were playing this game and I wasn't professionally interested in finishing it to see it to the end, I would have dropped it because there are points when I had to look at a guide to figure out where to go next. And they have pretty much exclusively been like visual, like literally like, and then this is funny, I'll open a text guide because there's like one text guide that everyone's like, oh, this is the greatest one. And you'll open it and it'll be like, yeah, so then just,
Just
go
go
to
to
the
the
next
next screen.
screen. And I'm like, I don't know how to get to the
So
next screen. What do
so
you
I'm gonna
mean?
so I'm gonna give you one other tip. So you and I were talking earlier about how you were like, oh yeah, when I go through like the items in the battle menu, I don't know which one cures which thing. Which one for me, I know what they all do because they've been using the same like naming convention forever. So like I
Yeah,
know that an echo screen is gonna cure silence, and I
yeah.
know that silence is gonna stop me from using magic. But you don't have all those things internalized yet,
But what's the bubble? You know the bubble is silence? What's the bubble do?
Yeah, it's the ellipsis when it's got the little dialogue box because they can't talk because they're silent.
No, no, no. You can talk. You can't do anything.
Well, right, but that's the implication of silence is the reason they can't use magic is because they can't say the magic words.
Well, they can't. No, no, that you can't do anything when you're in the bubble. It's not that you can't use magic. You are
Oh, that's because
your health is drained.
Bubbles sleep. Because
Bubble
that's like a
is
because that's like a
sleep.
very Japanese bubble coming out of their nose, hunk chew type of thing. Yeah, that's what that comes from. So
Okay,
that's
well, why
another
are
thing is
you?
there's a cultural divide there too.
So why are you draining health when you're sleeping then?
You probably got hit with multiple status effects because yeah.
No, no, no. All right, so I
Anyway,
got the bubble. The bubble is sleep. How do I cure sleep?
you either there's I can't remember what the one in 7 actually is. There is an item. Remedies cure pretty much everything. The spell Isuna cures status ailments. If you are hit with sleep, if you smack someone with a physical attack and it hits them, they will wake up.
Okay, then yeah, then I didn't have sleep because I tried smacking them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. It was probably poison and something else. I don't know why you couldn't do anything else.
Bruh.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, no, those aren't even the points when I needed the guides. The points when I needed the guides were just like, I can't. I need to go up a ladder, I guess, but it doesn't look
Right,
like
right,
a
right.
ladder.
So actually, the reason why I started to bring that up is because I mentioned the items thing. I'm pretty sure if you hit, I don't know what console are you playing on. I already forgot what you said
I'm playing the definitive edition for the Nintendo Switch.
for the Nintendo Switch. So it would be the select equivalent would be minus. If you hit minus over stuff, I think it gives you a little context menu as to what that thing is supposed to do, like its basic item description in combat. I think the other thing that button does is when you are on the overworld, or sorry, not the overworld, when you are on an area that's with a pre-rendered background and you're literally like, which way do I go on the
Oh
screen to go to the
yeah,
next screen? If you hit
yeah,
if you hit the select button, it will put a red arrow at places where you can walk off the side of the screen.
yeah. Yes,
Okay.
but that still has not helped me in the
Okay.
times that I needed a guide.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it was one of those because there's occasionally like, where am I supposed to walk on the screen to go in what direction? Because a couple
Yeah.
of those are weird and janky, and some of them
Yeah.
work really well, like that tunnel one you were talking about before. And there's a couple other where it's like, I feel like there's a hole in the seam here, like, like,
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
teleported through a dimension to get here or something. I don't know. So there's definitely some weak ones as well.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. It's 30 years old, but I
Yeah.
definitely like I need a this is a game where I have to have a guide handy or else I will just give up because it is hard sometimes visually to be, oh, I have to go around this which is actually under, oh, and then it leads me through a little doorway that I didn't realize was a doorway. Oh,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah. There's a
Um
lot of the combination of you being your hyper sharp 3D model and blurry backgrounds results in some visual obfuscation sometimes, makes some stuff
yeah.
confusing to look at. And there's a lot
All
of
right.
because
So
it's all forced perspective shots too. So,
yeah, all right. So let's wrap up my thoughts cuz I can't believe this, but it's been 2 hours.
oh my gosh. Well, you have one topic you do need to comment on that you haven't talked about at all.
What?
The music.
Oh, dude. How did I forget to
Dude,
talk
we
about
haven't
the
talked about the
music?
music literally at all.
The music, the music is like doing most of the lifting for this game,
the
to be honest with you.
the music is and it always really has been in Final Fantasy almost regardless of the composer, but like this particular era to me, like the PS1 era of the Final Fantasy music, and like between the Super Nintendo and the PS1 era, which I know that comprises 6 games, but like it is it is astonishing how much like 12 out of 10 music there is
Yeah,
in all of those games. It's so
yeah,
incredible.
the music is like the thing that's carrying me through this game. Like especially in Midgar, like there are so many just cool tracks in Midgar that they like convey this like really horrifying vibe while at the same time they just kind of make you bop your head. Um, and sometimes they're just, you know, vibey and scary, but
Yeah.
yeah, like
And
weirdly, again, you're gonna be mad at me for this one, but weirdly, I think like the weakest track is the is the battle track.
oh, you don't like those who
Like
fight? Oh my
it's like
god.
okay,
What's wrong with you?
it's
Oh,
like
that's
fine,
that's the worst take you've ever said in your whole life. Oh my
it's
god.
fine. It's
Oh,
okay. It's
how
not a bad track, but
how
like it's just
long
it's very very mid.
oh, it's so good. Um, well, that's just the battle fanfare or victory fanfare.
Yeah, the victory fanfare is weird
Uh,
too.
Oh, you mean
I gotta
like that part or the little part after that's like the big
both.
triplets?
I gotta figure out
Yeah, you know.
both. I gotta figure out what and I don't know if this is like if this is going to make sense to anyone, but at some point I have to sit down at a piano and figure out what the weird chord is on the last note, because when it goes that last note, it lands on some chord that breaks my brain, and I'm like, why? Who like? And it's kind of cool. Like it's not like bad, but it's like I would have never, if I was composing the music, chose that chord to land on. It's so bizarre. At some point, I'm gonna have to sit down at a piano and figure out what's going on with that chord.
Interesting.
Does that make sense
I
to
guess
you,
I'd
or
have
you're just like whatever?
I guess I'd have to think about listening to it very specifically because and also I don't understand music theory as well as you do. So there's probably that in there too. Um,
It's such a weird chord. I every time I hear it, I'm like, man, what? Why? What a weird chord. It's like a I don't want to say a deceptive cadence, but really that's what it is. Like at the heart of it, it is a deceptive cadence because I mean, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm the weird one, but in my head, I'm anticipating that it's going to land on like a tonic chord or like a fifth chord or something, and it does not. It's not a tonic chord. It's some weird deceptive chord it lands on instead.
yeah, I have a soft spot for all the Final Fantasy music. Seven, the melody of the victory theme is always the same, but what plays after that initial melody is not always the same in every game because the classic in a bunch of the games after the da 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 normally it'd be da na 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 and then some other bass line playing in the background too, and then that would loop around. But like the different games will have like right after that initial chime, like this one has like the big triplets and then the like really busy like synth melody thing happening in the background, you know?
Yeah, which also is two weird chord choices. Like that also is like a weird vibe.
Oh yeah, see
Yeah, I
here's
don't
the thing.
know.
You think those are weird and I'm like, well, I grew up with these, so in my head these are like the most normal thing that's ever happened. Like this is why I like the music that I do kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah,
So,
no, it's weird. I don't know why. Like I like those who fight. It's not like a bad track or anything, but it doesn't make me like doesn't make me bop, you
also
know.
I think the official name of that now is Let the Battles Begin, but it was always translated before as Those Who Fight. And the reason why I still call it Those Who Fight is because the standard boss theme is called Those Who Fight Further, and I like the pairing of
Oh.
those two things. That's the that
Oh
guy.
yeah, that song
Oh God,
slaps.
that's so good.
Yeah, that song slaps. I really like my favorite is the and this might be a weird choice, but I don't know if it might just be like the main Midgar theme, but it's the one that's got the like dun dun
Dun
dun
dun dun
dun.
dun.
And
Mhm.
it like I really like when it like slowly layers on like one synth voice at a time until it's like disturbingly loud and then it just drops to nothing. That is like so cool.
Yeah, I think that's the Turks theme, if I remember right. Do 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 do. What with the bass line and everything. It's one of the Shinra themes. There's multiple different like
No, you're thinking of a different one.
yeah. Yeah, I am thinking of a different one. But either way, okay, I know what one you're talking about, but regardless, yeah. The music's so good. It's
Yeah,
filled
yeah.
with bangers just like everywhere. When you were talking earlier about the flashback scene and finally seeing like Sephiroth and all of the hometown burned and everything. That's uh the song is called Those Chosen by the Planet. That's the one with just the big chord stingers and then the doo 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 dun dun dun. That whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. So
Yeah,
good.
it's cool. Even the there's one again, I don't know what it's called. I don't remember the context, but there's one very very quiet song that happens when you're exploring certain parts of Midgar. And again, they're striking to me because I think they're only like two voices. Like there's like one note at the bottom that's like meant to convey what chord you're on, and these really really simple but like haunting melodies. But because of the choice of the synth sounds and stuff, it's again, it's like sort of born of the limitations. Like it makes it so much cooler and so much more like emotionally effective because it's so simple. Some of those tracks, like
Mhm.
they really have, I thought they were like super memorable immediately, and I was like, yo,
Yeah.
this music is carrying the entire game for me.
Yeah, see that, yeah, that's the thing, man. The music in the Final Fantasy franchise is so good. And I said it right when Remake came out. I literally went, "Guys, if you like Final Fantasy music, I almost don't care how you feel about Final Fantasy 7 Remake. The soundtrack and the remixes of the soundtrack of the stuff in the game up to that point was worth the price of the video game alone. That's how good it is." Oh, Andy, I gotta tell you, dude. More, and I think I've said this to you before. Just I that was the main thing that I really wanted you to experience for the first time was that soundtrack because of how good it is. And I know that you also appreciate like music from that era and like the limitations of what it was, rather than everything needing to be big sweeping orchestral, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? But yeah, I really, really also wanted you to hear all this stuff now and internalize it so that if and when you do at least try out Remake, that you have the same, oh my god, I can't believe how well arranged this is that I did
Yeah.
when I was hearing it. There's
All
so
right.
many remixes, like even officially released Square ones of like the Final Fantasy X like HD remaster has like a whole another version of the soundtrack, and I didn't know that when I saw somebody playing it on YouTube or whatever. I've never played that, and they got into a battle, and I was like, "Why is the music wrong? It's wrong. The music's wrong." And I never got that vibe from even this completely reimagined and rearrangement of the soundtrack from Remake and stuff. It's like it hits all the exact same things that makes the original music cool while doing the new cool thing that it has to. you know it's
Yeah.
so good.
Well, I think to wrap up, I think I'd like to do. There's one. I won't spoil which song, but there's one that like I hum it all the time, and I want to see if I can do a little rendition of it to wrap up here. Does that sound good?
Oh, yeah, yeah, like, are you gonna hum
Yeah.
it into the microphone, or are you gonna
Yeah.
go like get
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
guitar? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Give me a sec.
Oh no, oh no, I feel like, oh no, I feel like this is a bit.
Ba-do-do-do, ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Ba-do-do-do, ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
I wonder how the delay is gonna work on the stream for that for me.
Ba-do-do-do, ba-do-do-do-do-do-do. Pow, pow, pow. You felt it immediately. You were like, "Oh no, wait a minute.
Yep, yeah,
What's about to happen?"
I saw you break a little bit. I was like, I might have lost him for the rest of the show. I might have made a mistake. We might have to end the episode early.
All right. So, wow, I can't believe we came here to talk about Minishoot Adventures,
Yeah,
and
we
then we
talked about Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy
7 for like
like
an
2
hour and a
hours.
half.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you
Um,
haven't even played that much of it.
yeah. How would you say? I'm not even like a quarter of the way through, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
still
you're
real
like
early.
maybe a quarter of the way through, probably not even. So you got a fair bit of game to go. Um, yeah, I am quite excited to hear what your thoughts are on music you haven't heard yet, things that happen in the story you haven't heard or know about yet, what you feel about the character development. Yeah, you're right at a point where like everything's really opening up. And I can't wait to hit that exact point in my playthrough so that I can be like, what if I actually went through this as like an adult instead of when I played it in like, I don't know, probably like, oh no. Oh. Well, here's the thing, Andy. We definitely were not in high school yet the last time I played Final Fantasy 7. So it's been a little bit.
So what? Oh, you're just saying you need a refresher on it.
Yeah, like I'm saying, I think it has literally been 20 years. So
Nice.
yeah, so there's
Well,
that.
thanks to everybody for watching the stream and/or the YouTube channel. We if no one's watching this, but if you are, uh,
Hey,
we,
that's all,
we
folks.
that's all,
We're
folks.
gonna get
Look,
DMCA'd now by Warner Brothers.
we're gonna get no, you're gonna get DMCA'd by Yamaha for
Porcus
their
pig.
keyboard music. um,
I hope so. That'd be the funniest thing that's ever happened.
yeah. Um, So yeah, we enjoy talking about video games. We're gonna talk next time probably about more Final Fantasy. I would love to look. I know that like you don't like to get into it as much, but part of me wants to talk about like the Switch 2 stuff and just how we feel about like what's gonna happen. But
Like
I
right
also
now
don't
or
know if that
next
might
time?
no next time.
Okay.
But I also don't know if that might be exhausting or not. Would that be fun or exhausting?
Well, it depends, because I think you and I could probably have a more reasoned, level-headed conversation the way that we have off mic already about it. Because I've made it clear how I feel. I think a lot of the stuff that's exhausting and a bummer about it is people really going out of their way to make it exhausting and a bummer.
Yeah.
Like it's
Can I,
short version. It's I don't love where we're at, but I'm also in no way surprised. That's it. That's the short version
let
of
me
my feelings.
let me say
If we're
this.
not going to get into it, you know.
Yeah, at the risk of this becoming a 2-hour conversation, let me say my take that I was thinking about this morning. Regardless of how I feel about the Switch 2 launch, I actually do think it's it's not going to do it might not do that well. And here's why. Because I think the Switch 1 was very much like it captured a lot of casual people in the same way the Wii did because it was really cheap. And I could think like almost everyone I know has a Nintendo Switch, even if they don't play video games, because it was like a cheap, fun thing. You could buy it as a gift. It had Mario Kart, whatever. But I actually think the biggest problem with the Switch 2 is because of the price point and because of like just where it stands. I don't think it's something that like casual people are going to be interested in anymore. I think it's only going to be the hardcore people. That's my
Eh,
take.
eh, nah.
Like,
Here's the thing.
no,
We should talk more about it next time, because I think I disagree with that. I think that it temporarily is going to impact people's view of stuff, and eventually either the price is going to shift or economic circumstances are going to change, and it's not going to be a factor anymore, and people are just going to play their Mario Kart machine. That's kind of
I
how I
can
feel
just
about
think
it.
of I know lots of people, like not one or two, but I can think of a ton of people who have a Switch that have like 4 games for it. Like they own Mario Kart, they own Breath of the Wild, they own Animal Crossing, and that's it. Who I just know that they like I'll be like, "Oh, did you hear about the?" And they're like, "There's a Switch too." Like they don't even know about it. So I think those people are never going to buy a Switch 2 at the price it's at currently.
Oh yeah, well I mean, but they also probably didn't buy a Switch at launch either. You know, like I just don't think that's different.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, um, yeah,
Um
I don't know.
maybe.
It'll be curious how it plays out. I don't know.
I'm open to being wrong, but that's my sense is that I think they've shifted like the type of person who's interested in slash going to buy a Switch. I think they've moved out of the like casual, cheap, vaguely interested in video game market, and I think they've moved up into like the PS5 territory a little bit because it's more expensive, and maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's more of like I see what you're saying. I think it's almost more of like looking at it from the opposite end of it, I guess, is that they're trying to maintain, I think, the existing base that they have that is the more casual user, while also being like, by the way, we have Cyberpunk and you can play Final Fantasy VII Remake integrated. You can play the real big boy games that you couldn't on here before. If that matters to you, you can also do that here just in case. So just so you know. But for anyone who wasn't already interested in that, like that never mattered to them to begin with. with a Switch.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, it's
so
possible. I have a buddy who I won't name by name, but like when Tears of the Kingdom came out, he was texting me about it every day, and he was like so hyped to be talking about it. And we were talking about the Switch too, and I was like, look, bro, I mean, when you're gonna be paying $80 to Daddy Nintendo, and he's like, I don't think so. And I was like, well, then you're not going to be playing video games. And he's like, yeah, I'm not really playing video games now. So, like, that's fine. I'm not going to buy it. And
yeah,
he,
that's happening
and I
across
like,
the board. Yeah.
yeah, like, I think there's a lot of those people that they have it because they got it on sale. They got they own a few games that they enjoyed playing. But I think, like, I know he's not going to buy one. Like, he's just not devoted enough to pay 450. He just doesn't care enough. He's like, whatever, I won't buy it then.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of how to recontextualize this a little bit in like the grand scheme of things, just based on like people's like previous buying patterns and where people are in the economy and everything. Like when we were like in high school and everything, this is a real question because I actually don't know. What rough proportion of people did you know who like had a GameCube specifically?
Um, I
I
would
don't know.
say
Did it feel like a
most.
lot of people or like barely anyone?
It felt like most of I don't know about the GameCube specifically, but it felt like just about all of my friends had a game console.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking GameCube specifically because it's like, okay, well, if because in my head it's like, oh yeah, well everyone had a GameCube, and then I look at the sales numbers and I go, no, they didn't,
Yeah,
because the
I
GameCube
can think.
actually, in retrospect, didn't sell very well.
Yeah,
So you know, it's one of those like I don't know. I feel like the only way that I'm ever really gonna know is if I start looking at what those numbers are after the fact. So I don't know. A lot of it's speculation.
yeah.
I think people want to switch to badly enough that in spite of all this like you know fervor over
I
all of
think
it,
the, I
it's
think the hardcores do.
I think that a Nintendo console, regardless of which generation it's been, has been in greater appeal to the average, more casual gamer forever. Like for a really long time now. You
Yeah,
know what I
I
mean?
I think yes, but like I said, I can think of everyone I know who's interested in video games wants a Switch too, but it's still like maybe I'll buy it at launch, maybe I won't. You and I will probably buy it at launch. But again, I can think of a great number of people who have a Switch. They own like Jackbox and Mario Kart. And if I were to bring up the Switch 2 to them, they would be like, I didn't even know that was real. Like, I'm not going to buy one. That's crazy. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's a lot more people like that, that they picked up on the Switch 1 that they're not going to pick up on the Switch 2 because it's more expensive,
Well, I
you know?
think make no mistake, like if we're talking like launch or even like early-ish launch window, I guess I'll say, not like
I'm
necessarily
talking
day
this
one.
year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, here's the thing. This year, super agree with you. I'm questioning if I'm gonna get one this year because I'm not
Yeah, right.
sure.
And
I'm
you
not
and
sure
I
how
are
much
like
it's
huge
gonna
video
cost at
gamers.
this point right now. You know,
Yeah,
so
right.
I depending on if that's somewhat reasonable, I might get it or I might not because at some point it'll be more reasonable, and that might be the better time to buy it because the good news for me as a fortunate white man speaking into a microphone about video games on the internet, um, I have a lot of video games I can play right now without a Switch 2. I have a lot of Nintendo games I can play right now without a Switch 2. And I think there's a lot of people who are in that situation, and everything about it is very tumultuous at the moment because we are speaking largely from the perspective of American gamers. Other parts of the
Yeah,
world, this is a very different conversation.
yeah.
So, you know,
Yep.
that's where we're at.
So that was just like my hot take. I don't know if it's a hot take, but that was my take this morning as I was thinking about it. I was like, the more I think about it, I think there's a lot of people I can think of personally that they're going to lose out on because they've kind of moved up into a new bracket, a new tier. And I could
Yeah,
be wrong about that. That's
yeah,
fine.
I think you're right, but I think it's temporary. I think that's really just going to impact how things look in like the shorter term, but longer term, they're still going to sell gangbusters anyway, because their approach is similar to this other thing that they already made that we already know sold gangbusters and might be on track to being the actual best-selling console of all time. It might
Switch,
top
you
the
mean?
PS2 finally. It's potentially could do that, and I think part of the like the family sharing stuff that they announced as well, making it so it makes more sense to potentially still buy and own a regular Switch at this point. I think they're looking to do anything they can to push that number over the edge so that they can say they have the best selling console of all time.
Yeah, I mean,
Genuinely.
that would be dope.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you want to do that and dethrone the PS2, which, mind you, remember, I believe that came out in 2001. Been on
Crazy.
top for a long time.
Crazy.
So,
Well, all right. We should probably wrap it up here, but maybe next time we'll talk about Switch. Maybe next time we'll talk about Final Fantasy. Who knows?
yeah, well, apparently we have more to talk about than we thought, which I guess that's good. That's probably good, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not bad.
This has been Cryptic Puzzle. I'm running in a circle in a video game. That's
I'm
Andy.
running in a square in a video game.
No,
Oh,
you're not.
I'm
You're not doing
I'm
anything. You're not
Andy.
playing a video game at all, you liar. You can't just go on the internet. What do you really think you can just
Or
do that?
am
Do you think
I?
you can
And I
just go
hold
on
up
the
my
internet
phone.
and tell lies?
No, that would be illegal.
All right. So long, everybody. This guy's probably going to kill me as I go to stop the stream in the middle of this fight. No, we're going to watch me fight him and kill him because I must. He must go down. Now he's dead. We did it. Okay. All right. This is Schizo Puzzle signing off. We'll see you later, everyone.